All right, so I'm here with Officer Phil Tackett, Officer Tony Foster. There are DARE officers here for the Papillion Police Department. So I took DARE, gosh, more than 20 years ago. What's DARE look like in 2021?
Well, 20 years ago, I'm surprised I wasn't a DARE officer. I've been around a while. DARE's had a curriculum rewrite since it came to Nebraska in 1990, probably 4 times that I can think of. So if you had it 20 years ago, it was a different curriculum. You've got a new curriculum that is science-based, science fact-based. And it's a much different curriculum, and it rolls out in an education sense much better, more efficiency.
Okay. What do you guys focus on?
Yeah, focus on positive choices.
Okay.
Giving the kids information about drugs, alcohol, and tobacco, but really making good decisions for their future.
What's a typical day in the classroom look like for you guys?
Well, this year it's looked like we were on Zoom in the classroom, so it was a little different. But so we do our 6th graders in Papillion, the Vista school system. So normally we'll go in on a normal year, and we're not Zooming. We'll go in and teach 1 or 2 classes, have lunch and recess with the kids, come back and finish that last 1 or 2 classes, depending on how their day lays out. We pretty much let the teachers tell us what that schedule works best. So it's normally 2 before lunch or 1, and then the other one's in the afternoon. We try to get out and do as much recess time as we can with the kids, because that's where we really get to know them and they get to know us a little better. And lunchtime is always a good time to get to sit, because that's when you really find out what kids are thinking and what's going on in their school, or what's going on in this decade or this year, and how things are changing, is when you have those conversations outside the classroom.
When you guys talked about trying to promote positive choices, can you give me a little bit more detail about that, about what you're talking to kids about in the classroom?
Well, in the curriculum, there's different scenarios that we go through: bullying and reporting bullying, and not just being a bystander that does nothing. So they learn these scenarios, they get into these scenarios, and they learn how to make the positive choices and the decisions and how to report these things. So it gives them kind of a realistic approach to it.
It is our DARE decision-making model, and that's what the new curriculum is really based around. DARE has always stood for drug abuse resistance education. Well, its 2nd meaning now comes out using this DDMM: define, assess, respond, evaluate. So we find these situations, and these are all based on real stories from real kids about their age. They're not somebody sitting in a room making them up. So you'll see on our books in different places, keeping it real. And that's what that means, is these stories are real. So they have to define the problem, assess, they have to come up with a list of choices. What could you do here, right or wrong? And then we talk about those consequences to each choice. And they have to respond by picking one. Then the evaluate is, why do you think that was a good choice? Did it solve the problem or fix what was going on in this situation?
What kinds of situations do you guys hear about or see kids facing in today's society? I know we probably don't always want to talk about some of the harsh realities that are out there. What types of feedback do you guys get, or what kinds of stories do you get about kids and their decisions?
I've been teaching DARE about 25 years out of my 32-year career. And 20 years ago when you were in DARE, kids haven't changed. What they're able to access, or what their environment is, changes. But kids are still kids. They still want the same things. They want people to like them. They want to be involved in things. They want to feel like they're needed somewhere. Those things never change. They haven't changed since 1990 when I started teaching DARE. The curriculum changes to keep up with what their environment, or what they're exposed to, and digital media, the social networks. That's the big difference. Kids today have access to things that 20 years ago they didn't, 10 years ago they didn't. When you used to have 1 or 2 social media sites, now there's 100. Parents might be keeping an eye on 2 or 3 different social media sites, but they've got 2 or 3 over here running that parents don't know about. And it's that accessibility to have, be able to access things maybe they shouldn't at that age. And it's creating them, or making them grow up much faster than they normally would. And so one of the things that we run into in the classroom when we're sitting at lunch or we're out to recess is they talk about this friend, or they were on this video game with people all over the country, all over the world, and the bullying that takes place. So when we talk about bullying, which we didn't do 20 years ago at all, even though bullying's been around since Cain and Abel, but we didn't talk about it 20 years ago, but now it's a huge deal, and cyberbullying being the most important part of that. I know they get overwhelmed with bullying from kindergarten all the way up in through middle school, but the cyberbullying is the key here. And we talk a lot about cyberbullying and just the things in law enforcement that we see and the problems that come from making those bad decisions online or in text or emails.
What do you want parents to know about the DARE program?
Our message to parents is we need your help. You know, we get to come in that classroom 1 hour a week for 12 weeks. DARE is always built on a triangle, right? We have law enforcement, we have the educational unit, but the base of that triangle is always parents. And we need help convincing parents to talk to their kids about drugs. You need to be having those talks, not one time and say, oh yeah, I had that talk. This is a weekly thing. Oh gee, I saw in the news. Let's sit down and talk about what I know as an adult and share that with my 6th grader. We need their help, not just talking about drugs, but this cyberbullying and the issues that take place online. Parents are a huge, huge influence on what decisions their kids make when they're online. And yeah, you kind of want to keep an eye on them. More importantly, open that dialogue, have that discussion every day about what the dangers are getting involved with people online that you've never met. And that seems to be our biggest issue.
What's the ultimate outcome that you guys hope to achieve from this program?
You're going to have kids that are going to make bad decisions, whether it's environment or just their personality, whatever it is. You're going to have kids that are always going to make good decisions because of parenting or environment or whatever that is. It's those kids right in the middle, sitting on that fence, that our hope is that we're able to keep those kids on this side of the fence making the good decisions.